What's up, guys? Doing our prequel tutorial today. I'm not giving you a top string walkthrough because I gotta go, but all you're gonna do is tie your 9-diamond top string on the second sidewall hole. You can do it whatever way you like. If you wanna know how we do it, I have a bunch of different tutorials. Check out one of the other heads, but I'm gonna blitz through this sidewall pattern for you guys just so you know how we're stringing this up. Today I'm stringing this one with otter mesh because I think it fits this head the best. As we've been trying it with Hero and with 3S and 3X and stuff, I think that sometimes our catch point theory with our stacked SI might not perfectly complement this head. So this pattern, it does have a stacked SI, but with otter that's inelastic, I think it works the best for this head. So we're gonna still dial things up. We'll do another tutorial if we need to, but this is what we got right now. So gonna take our little sidewall string, tie up our starting knot per usual, and we are going to tie this first 10-diamond row to the fourth sidewall hole. You can double loop it if you like, but we're going to go up through this 10-diamond row, around and back in the sidewall hole again, and pull that first 10-diamond row tight. Like I said, you can double loop it. I'm just going to do a single here. Tilt this camera up for you. Next, I'm going to skip a hole and tie an anchor knot on the 6th sidewall hole. So I'm going to go up through the second 10-diamond row from the outside in, and then I'm going to go down through this little loop, but out to the right here. So as you guys can see, I haven't gone to the left of this string back here. I've gone to the right of it. I'm pulling it tight from the inside first. So I'm yanking this as tight as I can from the inside, pinching it with my left finger, and then pulling it tight. I could do a KSI here, but if I did, that would pull this first row very tight across the top, and it would really reduce the feel you get as the ball is traveling out. This head already has a very quick release, so by tightening that up top, it's gonna make it feel a little less natural as the ball comes out, and you're gonna feel less snap off the shooting string. So that's why I go with an anchor knot here. For the next one, though, I'm going to skip a hole and then do a KSI. At this point, because of the high flare of the head, this head pinches so drastically up top that I do want to start pulling these mesh diamonds out to the outside as I'm going down the head. So I'm only doing one anchor knot here. I'm going to skip, then I'm going to go outside in on the 8th sidewall hole. Same little knot, so I'm going down through this hole and out to the right, as you can see right here. Pulling it very tight from the inside. So I have a nice tight knot, and then I'm going back up through that third 10-diamond row, pulling it tight. I'm going to skip one more time and do another KSI. So I'm going in through the 10th sidewall hole, tying my little knot here. This is what it looks like as I'm pulling it tight. Pull tight from the inside, yank down, pull that one tight. And now I'm going immediately into another KSI. So I'm starting to develop my pocket here. As you can see, I've already really started to define that top part of the channel. But if I just stacked right here, it would be a little bit too much of a bowl up top, the legendary soup bowl pocket, which we don't want. So I'm going to tie one more KSI down through that 5th 10-diamond row, outside in of the 11th sidewall hole. And then I'm going to go down to the right, once again, tying that knot. Here, this is where I like to do that funky little inverse KSI that I talk about. So as you can see here, the string is touching the smooth side of the mesh, whereas these other knots are sitting on the rough side of the mesh. And I'm going to try to maintain that through that knot. So I'm pulling this nice and tight, and now as I come back up here and start pulling down, I want to make sure that this knot sits so that it's in contact with the smooth side of the mesh instead of the rough side like these knots. So see, this one's touching the rough side, this one's touching the rough side, but this one here is touching the smooth side. Little nuanced thing, doesn't really matter. Derek's making noise in the back. Gotta love the fact that I didn't use a microphone today. Woo! So now we're going to skip and then stacked SI. So I'm getting into more of the channel part of my pocket. I'm going to skip, and then I'm going to go down through 10 diamond row number 6, down through 10 diamond row number 7, outside in, and then go. So I'm coming up, as you can see here, I'm pulling to the left side of that mesh, of that sidewall string, up through 10 diamond row number 7, up through 10 diamond row number 6, and pulling that tight. As you can see, I like kind of stretching out the mesh. I really need to go and do the other side to make it even right now. But first I'm going to walk you through that one more time real quick, just so you can see the stacked SI is always a tricky one. You can never see it enough times, in my opinion. So all we're doing here is we're coming right off of that last knotted SI. I'm skipping a hole. I'm going down through the 7th 10 diamond row. Down through the 6th 10 diamond row, down through the 7th, outside in of the 13th sidewall hole, up to the left, up through the 7th 10 diamond row, up through the 6th 10 diamond row, pulling it tight. Okay, so now I'm going to blitz through the other side to get myself even. Okay, so now we're even on both sides. As you can see, I've got a nice channel starting to form. Nothing too crazy in this head, just trying to get a nice smooth release. So I'm back over here right after my stacked SI. I'm going to want to make sure I pulled it nice and tight. Then I'm going to immediately just do a nice tie. So I'm doing one knot here, pulling it really tight. This is the most important knot to keep tight. If I'm keeping this loose at all, sometimes you can have some extra wear and tear on this little sidewall section, which is not what you want. So I'm pulling this really tight here, and then pulling a nice firm knot right on top of that side rail. From here, I'm going to do 3 1 skips. It's really important, in my opinion, that you go down on your ones. So you're going down through this 10 diamond row. I have never really liked the way a pocket sat when going up on a 1. I just think that pulls the mesh to the outside, like you can kind of see here, which really creates these kind of wider channels that don't have as much ball retention as possible, in my opinion. So the way I've done it, and this was something, you know, I went over for probably a solid 1.5 years when I was first getting up and rolling. I really prefer to go down through these ones so that the mesh can sit, if anything, to the inside of the pocket and keep maximum points of contact with the ball. I'm going to do a skip, tie another knot. So those same knots we've been doing. I'm going to do another 1 skip, going down through that 9th 10 diamond row. Then I'm going to do one final 1 skip, tying off from the inside out here of this last sidewall hole. And all I'm doing to tie off is I'm tying 1 overhand, but as you can see, there's still a little bit of space. So I'm going to loop this next overhand knot around and underneath this first overhand. So as I'm pulling it tight, I'm filling up that little gap there, so it ends nice and tight. And that is pretty much my prequel pattern. I'm going to wrap up on the other side, then quickly take you through the throat string. There's the pocket in its entirety. Nice kind of mid-sitting pocket, haven't even broken it in yet. Just really going for a nice smooth release. Like I said, we're still trying to figure out if the stacked SI is the best option for this head, especially with other meshes. This is otter mesh, but to finish this out, just going to be tying our throat lace on the next 9 diamond row here. I almost always use 10.5 diamonds when I'm going through my sticks. So here, just tying a nice little overhand knot, going from the outside in of the furthest left hole, up through this furthest left diamond. We'll call that diamond number 1. And then we're going to go down through diamond number 5. And I've mentioned this in videos before, but as you can see, if I'm pulling this straight out to the right, I want to do a nice little half turn before wrapping around the back side of hole number 2 and coming up this way. So as you can see, instead of this being flipped up, it's flipped down. And both of these string segments are kind of mirroring each other. Then I'm going inside out of hole number 3, pulling it a little bit tighter, up through 9 diamond row hole 5 and out through hole 9, inside out here. And once again, instead of this facing upwards here, I'm rolling it so it faces down. And then inside out here, tying just a simple overhand knot to wrap this bad boy up. Tying that nice and tight. Just making sure all of these segments are even. That's just a little aesthetic thing at the end. You won't really be able to tell until you flip it over and look at it this way, but that's a pretty little throat string. Just gonna do a little bit of pocket pounding. Doesn't need too much with otter, but I like to prevent any bagging that might happen. Boom. That's your hawk prequel. Have some fun with the shooting strings. We've really been enjoying this head, really been enjoying this mesh in this head. If you want to grab one strung or unstrung, check out our website, link in the bio below. Thanks so much, guys. Catch you guys next time.